friends, welcome to Uniq Arts
In this YouTube channel, we are going to upload drawings.
and short stories too.
So, without wasting time, let's get started. Mr. Oliver, an Anglo-Indian teacher, was returning to his school late one night on the outskirts of the hill stations of Shimla. From before Kipling's time, the school had been run on English public lines, and the boys, most of them from wealthy Indian families, they wore blazers, caps, and ties. Life magazine, in a feature of India, had once called it the Eden of the East. Mr. Oliver has been teaching in the school for several years. The Shimla Bazaar, with its cinemas and restaurants, was about 3 miles from the school, and Mr. Oliver, a bachelor, usually strolled into the town in the evening, returning after the dark, when he would take a shortcut through the pine forest. When there was a strong wind, the pine trees made sad, eerie sounds that kept most people to the main road. But Mr. Oliver was not a nervous or an imaginative man. He carried a torch and its gleam. The batteries of the gleam were running down. He moved fitfully down the narrow forest path when its flickering light fell in the figure of a boy who was sitting alone on a rock. Mr. Oliver stopped. Boys were not supposed to be out after dark. "What are you doing out here, boy?" asked Mr. Oliver sharply, moving closer so that he could recognize the miscreant. But even as he approached the boy, Mr. Oliver sensed that something was wrong. The boy appeared to be crying. His head hung down. His face was held in his hand, and his body shook convulsively. It was a strange, soundless weeping, and Mr. Oliver felt distinctly uneasy. "Well, what is the matter?" he asked, his anger giving away to concern. "What are you crying for?" The boy would not answer or look up. His body continued to be racked with silent sobbing. "Come on, my boy. You should not be out here at this hour. Tell me the trouble. Look up." The boy looked up. He took his hand from his face and looked up at his teacher. The light from Mr. Oliver's torch fell on the boy's face, if you could call it as a face. It had no eyes, ears, nose, or a mouth. It was just a round, smooth head with a school cap on top of it. And that is where the story should end. But for Mr. Oliver, it did not end here. The torch fell from his trembling hand. He turned and scrambled down the path, running blindly through the trees and calling for help. He was still running towards the school buildings when he saw a lantern swinging in the middle of the path. Mr. Oliver stumped up to the watchman, gasping for breath. "What was it, Sahib?" asked the watchman. "Has there been an accident? Why are you running?" "I saw something horrible. A boy weeping in the forest, and he had no face," said Mr. Oliver. "No face, Sahib?" asked the watchman. "No eyes, nose, mouth, nothing." "Do you mean it was like this, Sahib?" asked the watchman, and raised the lamp to his own face. The watchman had no eyes, no ears, no features at all, not even an eyebrow. And that's when the wind blew the lamp out. So, the title of the story is A Face in Dark, written by Ruskin Bond. So, this is where the terrible story ends. You can grab your own climax for the story. This story was taken from the book Treasure Trove. Thank you for watching this video, viewers. Please do like, share, and subscribe to Unique Arts. Stay tuned.